The Cells That Changed Science. Read to you by Carol Brigham. The human body is made of cells. Different parts of the body have different kinds of cells. These cells help our body work. For hundreds of years, scientists tried to study these cells. They wanted to see how diseases affect the body. They wanted to use their research to cure diseases. Scientists needed a lot of the same cells for their experiments. But most cells die quickly after they are removed from the body. They needed to find cells that would not die. In 1951, Dr. George Guy, a cell biologist at Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore, Maryland, got a sample of cells from a patient. These cells did not die like other cells. These cells doubled every 20 to 24 hours. They were easy to keep alive and grow in a lab. Dr. Guy named the cells HeLa after the patient, Henrietta Lacks. He started sharing them with other scientists. They called the cells immortal. Who was Henrietta Lacks? Henrietta Lacks was a young African-American mother. She was 31 years old and had 5 children. In February 1951, she went to Johns Hopkins Hospital to see a gynecologist. The doctor found a tumor. He cut out some of the tumor cells to test them. The test showed that Henrietta had cancer. She had radium treatments at the hospital. This was the best way to treat her cancer in 1951. But the treatments didn't work. In October 1951, she died from her cancer. Consent. The doctor sent some of Henrietta's cells to Dr. Guy to study. These cells became the HeLa cells Dr. Guy shared with other scientists. In the 1950s, there were not any laws for medical testing. They did not ask Henrietta if they could test her cells. Henrietta didn't know they were growing her cells in a lab. Her family didn't know her cells were immortal. They didn't know scientists were using her cells. They could not choose who used her cells. Today, there are laws for medical testing. A doctor must get a patient's consent to do a medical procedure. A patient must sign papers to donate cells or other tissue. Hospitals and research organizations have groups of people that review experiments. These people make sure the scientists are following the laws. There are also laws that protect patient privacy. Scientists cannot use patient names or information. They must use numbers instead. Tests using HeLa cells. Henrietta's cells have changed the world. They have helped save lives. In 1953, Jonas Salk and other scientists used HeLa cells to study polio. They used the cells to test a vaccine to cure polio. In the late 1950s, scientists tested X-rays on HeLa cells. They wanted to see how X-rays affected human cells. They also used HeLa cells to make a test that finds cancer cells in a person. Doctors still use this test today. In 1964, scientists sent HeLa cells into space. They watched the cells to see how they worked in space. They used these tests to decide if humans were safe going into space. Scientists used HeLa cells for cancer research. They studied viruses in these cells. They used them to make and test vaccines. They used them to research HIV, Ebola, Salmonella, and tuberculosis infections. Scientists have published over 110,000 experiments that use HeLa cells. HeLa cells even helped scientists make the COVID-19 vaccines. A book and a movie. In 2010, Rebecca Skloot wrote a book called The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. She spent time with Henrietta's family. She got to know Henrietta's children. She told Henrietta's story to the world. In 2017, HBO made The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks into a movie. Oprah Winfrey played Henrietta's daughter, Deborah. In the news, Johns Hopkins gave HeLa cells away for free. They did not make any money from the cells. But more than 100 companies did sell HeLa cells. These companies made a profit from HeLa cells. Some companies have made millions of dollars from HeLa cells. Henrietta was poor. Her family was poor. They did not get any money from Henrietta's amazing cells. In 2021, the Lacks family hired a lawyer. They wanted the companies to give them some of the money from the HeLa cells. In August 2023, Henrietta's family made a deal with Thermo Fisher Scientific. The company would pay the Lacks family. Henrietta's cells helped millions of people for years. Now, her cells will finally help her family too. For more information about Easy English News, and to subscribe to our digital or paper copies, visit our website, easyenglishnews.com.